The NBA is set to have one of the strongest drafts in its entire history in 2023, and fans and general managers alike agree that the top 2 picks in this draft are going to cause a catastrophic change in team mentality over the course of this season's 82 games. Prepare to see a tank fest like no other that we're going to cover in today's video. Top 2 picks shine in G League Showdown. As we already mentioned, this upcoming NBA draft is loaded, but the top 2 picks are set to change the face of the NBA as we know it. Victor Wembanyama and Scoot Henderson are pushing each other to see who will have the honor of being selected first overall at the 2023 NBA draft. And their first showdown of this G League season was a perfect example of just how hard this competition is going to be for the two of them. Wembanyama, who plays for the Metropolitan 92s, and Henderson, who plays for the Ignite, faced off against each other in a G League match for the ages. Henderson flexed his abilities in a huge win, dropping 28 points along with 9 assists and 5 rebounds. Henderson did all he could to make sure that his position as a potential generational guard was on display. While he is in a fight to go first overall, he's still a shoo-in to make the NBA barring any injuries, and his play at this game was a testament to just that. However, despite his team losing, it was Wembanyama who put on the best display of basketball. Wembanyama dropped 37 points, adding in 5 blocks of his own, but the impressive part was that the 7'4" beast put up 7 3-pointers to add to his 37-point total, proving that he is more than just a big man. Wembanyama and Henderson are both set to be the new faces of the NBA in the next few seasons, and it's going to be a treat to watch these two show the GMs of the NBA why they should be the ones to go first overall. But unless Henderson shows some wild improvement, he will likely be waiting for his name to be called a bit longer than Wembanyama will have to. Who is likely to go first overall as of right now? Of course, the events of this G League season can alter the draft order. However, as of right now, Wembanyama has a healthy lead over Henderson for the race for the first overall pick. Wembanyama has quite the advantage over not only Henderson, but everyone else in the draft as well. Wembanyama is a rare breed, measuring in at 7'4", but possessing the speed and smoothness of somebody much shorter. Not only that, he has a lethal long-range shooting ability that, when combined with his size, makes him an absolute force to be reckoned with on the court. However, if Wembanyama was not eligible for this draft, then Henderson would be heads and tails above the rest of the draft, which makes this draft especially important for all of the bottom-feeding teams in the NBA. The things that people are saying about these 2 draft picks would blow your mind. GMs are already coming out and saying that this draft will change the face of the NBA. An anonymous GM stated that the tank trade market will really shift after this showing. It feels like last night will start a race to the bottom like we've never seen. But the same GM, who we can only assume is the manager for one of the lottery assumed teams, had some glowing things to say about Wembanyama that make us think that the first overall pick will be one of the most valuable trade pieces in NBA history. He's a 7'4" Durant who blocks shots, and he's not even close to what he's going to be. The GM continued by saying he will be the most hyped player since LeBron. Obviously, with a statement like that, it makes it very clear that once the pick has been awarded, there is absolutely no way that pick gets traded. A player that has been compared to one of the best offensive players in the game, along with the added bonus that he can play reliable defense. Not only that, but being compared to one of the best players to ever play the game in his draft year is special praise. There have been some great number 1 overall picks over the past decade, but of course none of them even hold a candle to LeBron James. And if Wembanyama has the potential to match his play, then teams would be silly to trade away the right to select him. However, the high potential at the top of the draft is most likely going to stir the pot right from the beginning of the season like we've never seen before, and I for one am here for it. How will this wicked draft affect the rest of the league? Obviously, only one team will be lucky enough to have their lottery ball selected on that fateful day, but that will not stop teams from doing all they can to raise their odds of having their ball selected. While teams could simply trade away all their star talent and play a full lineup of players that have never played in the NBA before in order to go 0-82, that actually won't get them any closer to guaranteeing the right to select first overall. Ever since 2019, the NBA's draft lottery rules have made it so that the bottom 3 teams all have the same odds of selecting first, which means that the worst record in the league will not necessarily go hand in hand with the first pick. The team that comes in last, second to last, and third last all have a 14% chance of selecting first, with the fourth last team's odds dropping to 12.5%, and the fifth last team's chances dropping down to 10.5%. The rule changes were meant to ensure that tanking was not a valid way of getting the first first overall pick, as it looks bad for the league to have a team purposely losing games in order to better their odds of the first overall pick. So now, having the 5th last team's odds only be 3.5% less than the worst team in the league makes it so there is no guaranteed reward for the team with the worst record. However, these rules are most likely going to backfire this year, as drastic drop in player quality after the first 2 picks will make teams want to have either pick 1 or 2 in this year's draft. And since the team in the 5th worst position has a pretty decent chance of doing so, I think we're going to see a lot of teams try and throw away a few games in order to pad their chances of a franchise-changing player. That means that the bottom 5 teams will likely be sitting star players in games in which they have no chance of winning to ensure that they lose the game. Not only that, but if these bad teams already know they are going to sit their star players, they will likely be enticed to trade them for draft picks and prospects in order to make their team as powerful as it can be. So not only will we see some really awful teams, but with this new influx of star players being traded, we will likely also see some really stacked teams as well. So, which players are likely to be traded? We can speculate about trades until the cows come home, and most of the time it means nothing because all the trades we conjure up usually don't happen. However, this draft might change all of that, and it is a draft so special that we likely won't see a scenario like this one again for quite some time. So, who could get traded mid-season this year? Pretty much anyone on the Houston Rockets, Orlando Magic, Indiana Pacers, and Oklahoma City Thunder are fair game to be traded away for prospects or draft capital. These 4 teams especially are going to be awful this season, but what makes OKC a bit different is they already have a stacked prospect pipeline, with young players making up most of their roster. So trading one of these already proven players to get somebody who has never played an NBA game is bold to say the least. However, the other teams have some aging veterans that should be traded to a contender come the trade deadline. Houston's Eric Gordon comes to mind as somebody who will almost certainly be traded. I could also see the Magic giving up on either one of Bol Bol or Mo Bamba in order to secure draft picks or other young talent to make their future team as deadly as it can be. Regardless of who gets the right to change their team forever with Wembanyama or Henderson, this NBA season is likely to be pretty crazy, so I hope you are all ready for it. That's all we have for you guys today on the channel. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the content, and we will see you all in the next video.